to get started to see which one can be the most retarded. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show. Tinfoil haters, don't tell them what to say. Tinfoil haters are here to save the day. To get started to see which one can be the most retarded. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show.
Welcome back to another episode of Tinfoil Haters. How are all you vital idols doing? Last TFH of the year, man. What can I say? It has been a hell of a year, a hell of a ride with all you tinfoil haters out there. And we got a doozy of a show to end the year on, because this one is an entirely true story. It's an entirely true story, but it's one of those stories that, since it is true, there's a lot of unanswered questions about it, and those are sort of my favorite to do, because even if there is nothing behind the curtain, this alone is still crazy. But I can't do this alone. I got some co-hosts helping me out. My partner in crime, Sammy 3P. Tell the people who you are and what you do.
My name's Sammy 3P. I'm a Detroit-based musician, but I also do YouTube-y things. So check me out on the YouTubes and sometimes the Rumbles. And maybe Kick, but I'm kind of losing hope on that one.
Yeah, we do all these streams to Kick as well, and what can I say? I never get tired of all you fantastic Kick chatters telling me how I can get 3,000 people watching concurrently if I just send you some money and my mother's maiden name and the blood of my firstborn child. Which, to be fair, maybe that's an episode in and of itself. Why Kick? The conspiracy theory of why you can be successful in Kick if you just give the blood of your firstborn child. Speaking of children, Cinevere, tell the people who you are and what you do.
What the fuck? Oh, man. Hey, guys, I'm Cinevere. You guys can find me on all platforms as Cinevere. I have a tummy ache, so still a little bit low energy, but thank y'all for hanging out, and I am looking forward to the topic for today.
You love to see it, and much as usual, I assume you know literally nothing about Project Horizon.
Absolutely don't.
Perfect. So you're gonna learn. In the meantime, let's see who all's up in this bitch. Philip Morgan is here. Valiant Goat is here. Shout out to Krovax, Jake, motherfucking Martin. We were just talking backstage. I want to take a brief moment, since it is our final show of the year, to say how much everybody, both I assume in chat and those of us here on the panel, absolutely love Jake. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. As somebody who appears in a lot of other streams, chats, Badgers, mine, the whole nine, covering a lot of culture war stuff, you always seem at your most excited, just your happiest when doing TFH and the analog horror stuff. And I imagine it's because it's nice to get a break from the doom and gloom of the real world of pop culture and politics. So your presence here, man, I'm really happy that we've all found this there's something to do together. So shout out to Jake. And of course, everybody be wishing him and giving him prayers for the little one on the way. Matt Stanford, how you doing? Demon Carol up in this bitch. No, this has nothing to do with repurposed Nazi bases. That is a separate topic. Nazi bases on the moon or Antarctica, something we will cover in the future. We got Dax and our best mod in the whole damn land. The true Aztec warrior is here. Gal Carriman up in this bitch. Alfredo Chorizo is here. Saint Hugo, you sent me a message the other day. I forgot to respond to it just because of all the hustle and bustle of the holidays. I will get back to that. My apologies, my man. Let's see. We got Bridget in the house. I haven't seen you in a minute. Bridget, how you doing? Scotty G is here. Let's see. I know we got Morty, the Stream Elements bot, doing his job. Almontos Observatory. Do a video on the TR3B Black Triangle. I'm not familiar with that one, at least not by that name. If you are a member, get in the Discord and put it in the Tinfoil Haters Request Discord, or somebody do that for them, please, so we can look into that, because by that name, at least, I'm not sure what that is. Killer Mike G is here. Faye Summer is up in this bitch. Who else we got? I know there's more. Me Grimlock, me King is here. Let's see. Matt Fun and Cool, Leon Gay, Cinevere is not real, and that guy. No, I don't know yet. Oh, Sammy is the biggest question mark of them all. All right, let's see. Who else we got?
Question your own
Octopus
sexuality.
is here, 1989. Shout out Nick Havoc is in the house. UAF Omega. I love seeing all y'all coming through before the show even truly starts. Johnny Boy is here. Shout out Johnny Boy. Divine at Duckworth. My theory: the Nazis were already there. I disagree. I timeline wise, logistically, it doesn't make sense for the Nazis to already be there. Although there will be potentially a tiny bit of Nazi talk, but just one Nazi in particular. All right, who else we got? I think that is in fact everybody. Perfect. All righty. I wouldn't be half a story without all my favorite chat bros and the world class panel of experts. Well, I don't know about an expert, but I am, to quote Candace Owens, just asking questions.
You know what, Leon? I want to read the first line in the Wikipedia page to Cine like it's a movie preview.
Oh, please do.
In 1959, a study was done to determine the feasibility of constructing a scientific military base on the moon.
Oh, wow.
That was actually really good.
Yeah, that was good.
Like that little trailer voice there, you did that worked out. Well, then, since you brought this up, let's just get right into it. So we're going to be talking about the real factual history of this first. We're going to be going through all of the pertinent information before we get into the nitty gritty of the conspiracy. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about soldiers on the moon, the Army's strange but true plan for a lunar outpost. And I've got a lot of this highlighted. It was the pertinent information. There's a lot more to it, but not all of it's necessary. Sammy, if you want to read this intro also in the fashion of a Hollywood movie, I think it would work quite well.
Let me blow it up here.
A lunar outpost is of critical importance to the U.S. Army of the future. It was March 1959, and Lieutenant General Arthur G. Trudeau, the writer, those words, was tasking General John H. Heinrichs, the Army's chief of ordnance, to develop a proposal for a manned lunar outpost that would protect potential United States interests on the moon.
Perfect. Absolute perfection. You want to know what else perfection? Our boy Dax, our best mod in the whole damn land, re-upping his membership. Dax, you are an absolute legend. Not only are you a legend, but as a fellow Sonic fan and, at least furry adjacent.
Call it whatever, but if I made $1 for each time I made a racist joke, I would actually have $0. Because I'm not joking.
Based? Based? Hello?
Is that one new for you, Sammy? Was that one new for you?
I didn't see that one yet.
All righty. Let's get into the history of Project Horizon. So this is again, I cannot stress to you guys enough. This was a real document. This was classified for years. It was declassified. I don't remember the exact years, but in post 2000s. So this is from it initiated in 1959. This was 66 years ago. And the way they talk about it, and the way that and there's some fact checking I did through multiple different outlets and then also through AI, and the way it's talked about, guys, this is interesting to think that we did in fact likely have this technology 66 years ago. So the Trudeau guy that Sammy mentioned, this is him right here, decorated war vet. Look at all them patches.
Yeah. Looks like James Caan.
Yeah, a little bit. I can fucking see it. If James Caan and Agent Coulson did the fusion dance.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So An actual physical presence on the moon would be the very first step in the future of outer space military operations. It would not only give the United States moon-based surveillance of the Earth and space, but once moon-based weapons were in place, it could protect the U.S. interests both on Earth and on the moon. Additionally, the moon almost certainly had raw materials that would give Americans valuable commercial advantages over every other nation. Now, at the end of the day, I think we can all assume that with the crazy shit that we've covered just on this show alone that the U.S. government has funded, wanting to put a military base on the moon, even as far back as 1959, that checks out as normal. Like that's completely within the purview of what we would think the military would do. Don't everybody agree at once?
No,
Okay.
I say this all the time to Mrs. Threepeat. It was like sometimes my silence is yes, continue. I completely agree.
So this is when the space race was very first starting to kick off. This is, this is post World War II, Operation Paperclip. We have, of course, nabbed up as many Nazi scientists as we could. The USSR did as well. And this was being the rocket, obviously the rocket engineering projects were being ran by Werner von Braun. So he actually had a large input into how to get these materials to the moon. The goal of Project Horizon was to produce a plan for building a self-sustained moon base that would serve as an outpost for exploration of the moon and further exploration of space. The base, which ultimately would house between 10 and 20 personnel, would be the first permanent manned installation on the moon, and perhaps most importantly, would provide a platform for the Army, if required, to conduct military operations on the moon. The Army insisted there were no known technical barriers to establishing a manned lunar base and believed the base should be a special project having authority and priority similar to the Manhattan Project in World War II. After all, if America designed and built the atomic bomb, there was no reason that it could not put a handful of soldiers on the moon. Now, the important takeaway from this, and again, this is what all the data I've read, what even the AI spits back, the Army insisted there were no known technical barriers to establish a manned lunar base on the moon. So at the end of the day, every single thing we're about to read that was proposed was even, now not necessarily in 1959, but by their estimates, by the 1966 wrap-up date, technically possible. They had the technology to have this complete by 1966. So when we go over all the technical aspects of what they want done, I want you guys to know this wasn't just sci-fi fluff. The U.S. government, specifically the Army, the military, this was seriously considered. In fact, it got quite a ways into development.
Huh. I'm surprised they haven't gone back and tried doing all this.
It's funny you mentioned that. You're jumping ahead to what we're going to be talking about at the end of the stream. But yeah, I like where your mind is at. So hold on to that thought about us going back. Because remind you guys, do any of you guys know the last time we went to the moon?
At
least manned missions to the moon, I should say.
72.
I thought it was 73, but it might be 72. Yeah, okay, now you got me need to fact check myself. Apollo 17 mission. Hold on a sec. It was 72. It was December 2. Fuck, you were correct. I thought it was 73. Shit. Alrighty, fair enough. Well done. The Army concluded that 75 Saturn II rocket launch. Oh, hold on. Since the idea was to put 490,000 pounds of cargo on the moon, this meant that a lot of rocket launches. Consequently, an attractive alternative was to build a space station only in existence on the drawing board. The space station never actually made it past the drawing board idea that could receive and accumulate payloads from the planned Saturn launches. After enough materials had been assembled at the space station, a space transport vehicle, also only on the drawing board, would ferry these virtually weightless payloads to the moon. Project Horizon experts calculated that while each individual rocket could get 6,000 pounds directly to the moon's surface, a vehicle leaving the space station could soft land a payload of 48,000 pounds. The Army concluded that 75 Saturn II rocket launches could be achieved by the end of 1964, with cargo delivery to the moon in January of 65. That would be followed by the first manned landing of 2 men on the moon in April 65. These 2 individuals, presumably soldiers or at least Army civilians, would supervise the buildup and construction phase of the outpost till it was ready for beneficial occupancy by a task force of 12 men in November of 1966. Now, they're a little bit off on their dates because, of course, I imagine we know what year we did end up landing on the moon. Assuming you believe we landed on the moon.
I don't know that.
69.
I still tend to believe that we landed on the moon.
Yeah, the more and more that I look into it, like, I am mostly a believer in us landing on the moon. Absolutely. The only questions I have about whether or not we even landed on the moon, I still understand how we were able to get through the Van Allen radiation belt, because that's something that even NASA scientists to this day say that we don't have the tech to do anymore. And the fact that they lost all of the technical data. There's a lot of weirdness about us landing on the moon, but I do err on the side that we did do it. But again, I think there are some very interesting questions.
Well, I'm kind of curious why the site isn't like fact checking. Didn't you just say they got the years wrong?
Well, no, it's not they got the years wrong. What I'm saying is that the original plan proposed in 1959 was for us to be there with a base by 66. We ended up not actually making it to the moon until 69. So they were a couple years off in their projections, but that's still incredibly close in the grand scheme of putting people on the fucking moon. So basically it took them 10 years instead of 7 years.
Okay, fair enough.
Like that's a pretty good goddamn guess for just doing all the theoretical math and whatnot.
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, the amount of like troubleshooting and things you would have to do. And keep in mind, like, you know, these brave test pilots are finding all this shit out in real time, you know, reporting the data back. You know, they have to change the numbers, like it
literally learning as they go.
Yeah, you know.
And doing all this while competing with the USSR, who is at this point beating us in the space race. Remind you, they were the first one to put, for example, Sputnik into space. They were the first ones to put animals into space. So, like, by all accounts, we were losing the space race. So this is a matter of both national pride and national security. We needed to be the first ones there because it was us, the Soviets, the two dominant superpowers, as well as, I mean, just imagine what it would mean for national pride if we were the first ones on the moon, let alone a lunar base and whatnot, but just on the moon in general, which of course we did end up being the first ones to get there. So it goes on to say, recognizing there was essentially no atmosphere on the moon and the surface temperatures range between 248 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and minus 202 degrees during the night, scientists decided that the lunar base should be built underground. So they not only had plans to build a base, but they were going to put that base underground, suggesting that using natural holes or caves can be covered and sealed with pressure bags to create living spaces. The sort of construction also had the attraction of lessening the danger from meteorites, because obviously with the moon not having an atmosphere, that's why it's called the craters, it's pelted all the time. Well, they're underground, they're safer. To power now mind you, real quick, to power the station, the Army planned to send 2 nuclear reactors to the moon that provide power for both living quarters and construction equipment. Scientists also believe solar energy would ultimately serve as an energy source for the lunar base. Now, here's where we get into our first bit, in my opinion, of the conspiratorial aspect. They mentioned building the base underground. Why is that, at least to me, and maybe to you guys as well, strange?
You mean underground on the moon?
Underground on the moon.
Well, I mean, it's strange, but in other ways, like, it makes sense.
Well, let me rephrase the question. Why is it strange in reference to one of our other recent episodes?
I'm not.
Didn't you say the craters on the moon were all the same depth and they never got deeper?
Bingo, bango, bongo. Exactly, Cinevere. There's a max depth that once it hits, like because we did that episode, The Moon is Weird, talking about how the moon might be hollow. See, yes, Scotty G got it. The moon is hollow. Now, again,
I wasn't there for that episode, so.
Oh, were you not here for The Moon is Weird episode? Cindy, was that just me and you?
It might have been.
Anyway, I don't know in 1959 And this is probably something I should have looked up in doing prep for this episode, but it didn't occur to me. I don't know what our views on whether or not the moon was hollow. I don't know what the scientific consensus was in 1959. Nowadays, we can very much look at the scientific consensus, and well, it's not even a consensus. Scientists are split because the moon is very weird. Like there's no getting around it. It is very weird. And as Cindy brought up with the crater thing, which again leads to the point that I was going to refer to. Yeah, the moon has a pretty unique outer structure compared to what, if anything, is in the middle. So, all right, going from there, here's some of the schematics for what was planned. This is the base outpost that would hold 12 men. I don't know if I highlighted it, so I'll go ahead and also just state right now that the plan was to have just like you sign up for a tour of duty for the military, because this would have been ran by the Army. So this was a military operation. And NASA was not around at the time. In 59, NASA hadn't been established yet. And even when NASA was established, NASA was a civilian operation. So NASA would have no say in this, even if they were around, because this is military. The tours of duty for the Army men on the moon would be in 1 year intervals. And that's for obvious reasons, like muscle atrophy, not being able to adjust to long time in space, because there's a difference between, the gravity there, the gravity here. It all makes sense from a logistical standpoint. You go up there for a 1 year tour, you come back, you're replaced with somebody else, but there would be no more than 12 people on base at the time. And these are the schematics of what, the parts of the base, the living quarters would look like.
Huh.
So, and here's more. Again, you've got the moon's surface here. All these tubes and whatnot are under the moon's surface.
I mean, it does make sense though, if we're still wanting to have it under the surface.
Absolutely. Again, for protection purposes and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, but how far down would they?
Jizz. It started as Mercury, then went to Gemini, then went to Apollo. You missed a Gemini in there, but yes. Sorry, what were you saying, Cindy?
How far down would they know that they need to build in order, or dig down, I'm sorry, in order to make sure that, they didn't get hit by debris and destroy a part of the station?
Well, that
I don't know how far down they would need to go. That's an excellent question. And they might have made those claims or made those adjustments or those calculations. I didn't find them in this, but I'm sure it was taken into account. As far as potential tubes on Mars, Scotty G, I'll need you to be more specific. There are potentially collapsed lava tubes on the moon itself. The moon is given signs of potentially collapsed lava tubes, which we will get to a little bit later in the episode. So yeah, again, we've got more here, airlock and living quarters. So here's more of the structures. We must also look at a final point about Project Horizon. Its proponents argued that America's ultimate goal on the moon should be to deploy moon-based weapon systems. Why? Because the moon-based military power would be a strong deterrent to war, since an enemy would have a great difficulty in preventing U.S. retaliations. Now, what conflict was going on at this time?
Cuban Missile Crisis.
Well, we weren't quite to the Cuban Missile Crisis yet.
I guess the Bay of Pigs.
No, well, the Cold War in general.
Okay.
59, and then we get into, with the Cuban Missile Crisis and whatnot. Divine Duck War says Korea. Korea was, physically happening. In fact, the financial drain of resources towards the Korean War is one of the reasons that this supposedly didn't get off the ground. So yeah, Korea is a good answer.
Oh, that's right. We're in 59 right now, not 65.
Yeah. We're the beginning planning phases. Yeah, is 59. We know today, however, the concept for an army base on the moon did not happen. Why not? Well, there's at least 3 reasons. First, the technological challenges were more difficult than the authors of Project Horizon had thought, and also considerably more expensive. An effort similar in scope to the Manhattan Project might have worked, but it would have required a huge increase in the federal government's expenditures on defense. The idea was to spend $6 billion over 8.5 years. Now, mind you, this is $6 billion in 1959 to 1966 money. $6 billion back then, way different than $6 billion now. That's $700 million per year. When one remembers the federal minimum wage in 1958 was $1 per hour. This was a huge sum of money that would have required a significant increase in taxes. In any event, as the alarm over Sputnik dissipated, there was diminishing political interest in funding a military base on the moon. So that's one reason. We also got Second, the expansion of the war in Vietnam also siphoned off energy and funds that might have gone to Project Horizon. President John F. Kennedy had pledged to put a man on the moon. His successor, Lyndon B. Johnson, fuck him, was more interested in domestic politics, including a war on poverty and his Great Society programs, although he ultimately was consumed by the war in Southeast Asia. And third, and most importantly, any future American military presence on the moon became an impossibility when the United States, Soviet Union, and United Kingdom signed an outer space treaty in 1967. Now, this is a very interesting point, and this is the point that's going to be kind of a stickler for a lot of what the conspiracy that we're referring to is today. Holy shit. $6 billion is roughly 27 to the 9th power today. What was that? Is that like 27 quadrillion? I don't even know what that would be. I have no idea what that number would even be. 27 to the 9th. But anyway, so yeah, this third point. Thank you for doing that math, Jake. Yeah, the American military presence on the moon became impossible. It became an impossibility. The United States, Soviet Union, and the United Kingdom signed an outer space treaty in 1967. Now, can either of you guys, I assume most likely Sammy, but Senator, you're welcome to give it a shot, explain why this is a very notable piece of information?
About the
Treaty of 1967.
Nah, not really.
Oh, Cindy, do you got any guess?
Not a clue.
Okay. What was going on in 1967 still?
War in
Hippies?
Vietnam.
Well, okay, yes, hippies, but fuck them. They're dirty and gross and disgusting.
Vietnam.
270 billion. Thank you, UAF Omega. Anyway, what were you saying, Sammy?
Vietnam.
Yeah, okay, so Vietnam was going on 1967, and you're still in the ballpark. Yeah, Vietnam, of course, fought over communism because the Cold War was still ongoing. So, in the Cold War, what did the USSR and America agree on?
I mean, like
Trick question. Fucking nothing.
Yeah. Well, nothing besides mutually assured destruction.
Right, exactly. So for them to sign a treaty and include the UK, mind you, that, hey, let's
Yeah.
not put, like shit on the moon. What must have happened for them to come to that agreement? That's a very strange agreement. Roswell was 47, Scotty. Anyway, it's a very strange agreement to come to. Like, if y'all don't agree on shit, the USSR and America were at odds with fucking everything. But they agreed via treaty during the Cold War not to put shit on the moon. And bingo, bango, bongo, Dizel Jizz asking the real questions. UFO related. So we'll get to that. Keep that in the back of your noggin.
Yeah, because when you think about it, if someone like called the USSR and they were like, hey, like, I got this agreement, let's not put anything on the moon, they would hang up the phone and be like, we need to get shit on the moon immediately.
Exactly, Sammy. Exactly. In the end, there are too many unknowns and risks were too high. It should be noted that a similar study by the Air Force, known as the Lunar Expedition or LUNEX project, to establish an Air Force base on the moon met a similar fate. The proverbial nail in the coffin for a military installation on the moon came in 1967, when the United States, Soviet Union, and United Kingdom signed the international agreement limiting the use of the moon to peaceful purposes. The Outer Space Treaty, known formally as the Treaty of Principles Governing the Activities of States and the Expansion and Use of Outer Space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, prohibited nuclear weapons or any weapon of mass destruction from being placed in orbit around Earth. It also prohibited military equipment on the lunar surface unless the equipment was for entirely peaceful purposes. In short, the militarization of the moon was no longer an option, and it remains an impossibility since the international treaty is still in effect to this day. Now, that is all the official information on this subject. So what are our thoughts so far about Project Horizon?
Sketchy. I mean, the idea is sound, right? Like, it looks good on paper. It's something to strive towards. It's something that we eventually had the technology to do, but it's sketchy. Just with the treaties and everything is weird.
Well, let's talk about some things that are sketchy. Everybody knows, about Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins and Neil Armstrong and whatnot. What Apollo mission was that, mind you? Does anyone remember?
Was that Apollo 11?
Bingo, bango, bongo. Apollo 11. Now, are y'all, fairly knowledgeable about Apollo 10?
No.
No.
So Apollo 10 happened several months before Apollo 11. Obviously, that's how numbers work. And this is 100% real. By the way, this is not part of the conspiracy. This is not just some crazy make 'em up stuff to make this shit all spookified. This happened during the Apollo 10 mission. This is the Apollo 10 space music incident. Are any of you guys aware of the Apollo 10 space music incident?
Space music?
No.
I will take that as a no.
No.
So
I have predictions.
So not only listen to the dialogue between these astronauts, but also, of course, listen to everything going on in the background.
You want some more brownies? Now. First, a little hungry. That music even sounds outer spacey, doesn't it? You hear that? That whistling sound? Yeah. Woo! Look at your... Yeah, it sounds like, outer space type music. Hey, Tom, is your insulation all burned off here on the front side of your window over here? Right? Yeah.
Oh.
Mine's all burned off. Heading out here, where are you, John?
Now, this goes on for quite some time. Note how much of the video we have left. So, the reason that audio is so strange, any of y'all want to take a guess as to why the audio is so strange?
They're all hearing the same thing.
Well, they are hearing the same thing. Yep.
Is that the whir sound that we're hearing? Or is there like a more subtle sound?
No. That's the sound you're supposed to hear. Pretty inescapable. Y'all give up?
I give up.
So how is sound? Obviously, there's no sound in space, right? So how was sound transmitted between astronauts, between people on the moon versus up in the space station, between even the people in the space station to Earth? Does anybody know how sound was, got back and forth?
I'm assuming radio waves or
Bingo, bango, bongo, radio waves. Now, Sammy, you're a musician, you're a tech guy. How do radio waves work? What do you need for them to work?
you need a transmitter,
Well, besides a transmitter, what else do you need?
a power source.
Power source, all right.
I feel like I'm missing something fundamental here. I'm
You're
over
missing something fundamental. Yep.
a receiver. What?
So the receiver and the transmitter. Now, if you've got a receiver here and a transmitter here, what is paramount that the waves function and go through?
They have to have an atmosphere to go through, right?
Not atmosphere, but they have to have a clear line of transmission.
Oh yeah.
So in this instance, these astronauts here, they're on the far side of the moon. The moon would be in the way, blocking any sort of radio transmissions to and from Earth.
Oh yeah, they're orbiting the moon. There's no way you're getting.
Not on the far side of the moon. Nope.
No way.
So this is something that so radio does Divine Duckworth. It doesn't require direct line of sight, but it does require there not to be any massive sort of object or anything that would impede the transmission of the radio waves. Yes, not line of sight. But
put on an
yeah,
AM radio at any time of day. If it's slightly cloudy, you're gonna get.
Yeah, exactly. So you need solar winds can emit radio waves. That's true, Nacho Ninja. So here's the dealio. So this happened when they reached the far side of the moon. By all accounts, they had no idea what this was, and the U.S. government shelved this footage and this audio for years upon years upon years. And now what they claim after it finally got declassified, what they claimed was that it was just this lunar module and then another lunar module that were both in the area. You know, there's signal interference from both of them being too close to each other. That is the claim. But if that be the case, then what happens with Apollo 11 is also quite interesting. So let's read through here. Astronauts from different space missions to the moon said they heard bizarre music that left them terrified. If you've ever wondered what space might sound like, a handful of astronauts claim to have heard some cosmic melodies when venturing towards the moon. Yes, this is technically not possible, but with there being no air in space to carry sound waves and space being nearly perfect vacuum with very few atoms or molecules to carry sound nor make the music, the problem is so pressing that astronauts can't hear each other through human ears alone when spacewalking, meaning they have to communicate with each other with the help of radio waves through which they can hear one another in their pressurized spacecraft. So how did two separate astronaut teams claim to have heard music out there? NASA astronauts aboard the Apollo 10 and Apollo 11 spacecrafts both said they heard weird space music while on a trip to the moon. First time, the Apollo 10 astronauts, which is what we just listened to, Thomas Stafford, John Young, and Eugene Cernan, heard the strange sounds while on a dress rehearsal in May 1969 and prepped for the first ever human moon landing. So when they say dress rehearsal, again, Apollo 10 was sent up to the moon, but they weren't to actually land on the moon. This was basically just the like Jake said in chat earlier, the dry run. It would take NASA. Go for it. Go for it.
How come they weren't? Okay, you said they shelved this video. How come they weren't alarmed? One, they were hearing music in space, and two, the guy said the insulation on the windows, on more than one window, no less, was absolutely gone. What the fuck?
So basically, you're asking how they handled it so well.
Yeah.
Dudes in the 50s and 60s just build different, I guess, because I wondered the same thing, but I don't actually have an answer for you as to, I mean, again, this is space, the final frontier. Maybe it's to them, it's just like, oh, here's something new and unique. Let's collect this data so that we can try and figure it out. This poses an interesting scientific question. I mean, no one, I imagine, was jumping straight to the idea of ETs, right?
No, yeah, but I'm not saying it was ET, but like if something ate at the lining or like at the insulation on your ship and you're hearing things at the same time, that should cause some kind of alarm. Like either something was miscalculated, there is something else going on that's at play there. I figure they wouldn't shelve the footage. They would study it a lot more and then try to recreate the situation.
To be fair, when I say they shelved the footage, I mean from the public. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They probably did. I would imagine
I'm
NASA
sure they studied the shit out of
this and whatnot for years trying to figure out what was going on, but this was not publicly available. So it goes on to say it would take NASA 50 years to release what they heard, but didn't stop them from ominously warning the Apollo 11 astronauts about it when they set off to the moon months later. For Apollo 10, the unsettling noise began when the lunar module separated from the main module as they planned on orbiting the moon for more than 10 hours. After the orbit, they would return to the landing module. However, while on the far side of the moon and away from the base, the trio heard a whistling sound, and the audio reveals it certainly wasn't a toe tapper or number one hit by any means. Describing the sound footage from inside the shuttle, it says the others, "Can you hear that whistling sound?" Staff replied, "Yes," to which Cernan mimicked the music. Woo! Young then chimed in, "Do you hear the whistling sound too?" "Yeah, sounds, like outer space type music." So this is everything that we just heard. Just again, to confirm that what we just heard was real. That was the actual footage. The footage then went buried in a NASA database somewhere for decades. Then when Apollo 11 was preparing for takeoff, which was just a few months later, NASA reportedly told the crew to brace themselves for the space music. Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins, and Neil Armstrong also heard the same racket of their predecessors, this time hearing the sound when the lunar module separated from the main module and the music ending in the module touched down on the moon. Later, Collins wrote about the experience in his book, Carrying the Fire and Astronauts' Journeys, where he penned, "This is a strange noise in my headset now, an eerie woo-woo sound." He added, "Had I not been warned about it, it would have scared the hell out of me." NASA has since explained the noises came down to interference between the VHF radios and the lunar module and command modules. So, not NASA buried this information from the public, but did see fit to warn the Apollo 11 dudes about it. Now, is it entirely possible that their explanation of, the noises or interference between the VHF radios between the two lunar modules, is that possible? By all means. But if that be the case, why would you need to warn Michael Collins about it and the crew about it, and why would you keep this buried for 50 years?
Excellent question. What do they feel like we couldn't be trusted with that kind of information, that we might panic?
I don't.
Or
When I asked the question this time, it wasn't rhetorical. I
People
don't know
tend
the
to freak
answer to
out
this one.
about shit. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go for it, Sammy.
I was just gonna say, who knows? People do tend to freak out about things, especially when you have little information. They'll fill that information in, and that's why we have a show.
Kind of disappointed that the official account seemed feasible. My special brain, they got me. The official account of what? I clarify what you mean, Jake, because I'm curious what you mean. But yeah, I just think it's really weird that they had an answer as to what was causing it. Yeah, pretty sure the astronauts were concerned with not dying out there as priority. That's also quite the concern, Divine. I completely agreed. But yeah, I mean, to keep something as simple as the lunar modules have conflicting radio waves when they separate, to keep that buried for 50 years just doesn't, to me, that doesn't make fucking sense.
no, it doesn't. The whole thing. I mean, it makes me think of the Tommy Lee Jones line from like Men in Black, where it's like a single person is smart, but a group of people are dumb,
Dumb,
stupid,
panicky
panicking.
animals, and you know
Yeah.
it. One of
Yeah.
my
So
favorite lines in movie history. One of my top
Mhm.
10 favorite movies of all time, actually.
it's a good movie. So I wonder if it was something like that, because it kind of feels like it fits.
Well, let's talk about this right here. This is a very recent thing. This is from November 14th of 2024. The James Webb Telescope discovers huge structure on the dark side of the moon. Now, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know, I assume y'all are smart enough to know this, but just in case, the dark side of the moon isn't actually dark. It's just because the moon is tidally locked, we don't see it. It is still quite bright. Now coming in with sensational claims to photograph the sublime cosmic images, the James Webb Space Telescope has set its powerful eye on our closest celestial neighbor, the moon. As reports of unusual findings begin to surface, whispers have quickly began circulating. The James Webb Telescope discovered a massive structure on the moon's mysterious dark side. The spinoff that does the spinoff that it does can now gain a spirited debate among scientists eager to unfurl the latest clue to probing this knowledge a lot deep within the reaches of human imagination. What did the James Webb Telescope find? JWST is not designed to view the moon. However, its infrared detection allows it to see things that are otherwise invisible because they are covered by shadow. During one such observation, its lenses captured an abnormality. Preliminary analysis suggested some kind of structure. And let's just go ahead and open this in a new tab for you guys here.
Oh, what the hell is that?
How y'all think of that?
I don't think it looks the same.
Well, the reason it doesn't look the same is because one, it's heavily zoomed out, and this is far more zoomed in. And
Yeah.
again, using like the infrared and stuff like that. So the reason it doesn't look the same is purely a matter of one is magnified.
That's the structure, though,
No,
for sure.
no, because if this was the same, you would still see the same lines, even at a distance, because those are really thick lines on the zoomed in one, right? Like the
Well,
four. I'm
so-
talking about the 4 lines, right?
So what you're referring to, I mean, it's entirely possible. But it also could just be an optical illusion because due to the moon having, next to no atmosphere and almost all the same, cosmic makeup on the surface, there's very little shadows and very little, the way light reflects, things like that. The moon basically acts as a giant mirror because it's lots of little shards of glass and metal that make up the surface. So taking pictures and whatnot from afar are very different than up close. So like I get what you're saying, but this is entirely possible within the realm of possibility just because of the way that the light reflects and stuff. Now, that being said, here's what they say about it in the article. So Could it be a relic of lunar volcanism? The early history of the moon does indeed feature its volcanic periods, which left large plains. Expert speculations have considered a volcanic remnant, such as a lava tube collapse or even a volcanic dome, to explain the mysterious formation. The presence of no air on the moon's surface has meant its terrain has been preserved in its primitive form, meaning some structures, had they not been preserved so, would have eroded over time on Earth. This could add to lunar volcanic structures appearing artificial, particularly at certain lighting. Scans so far indicate, however, the material within the structure is not typical for volcanic remnants, so the possibility arises that we might be contemplating something else entirely, although what that is remains unclear. Now, the work of extraterrestrial life. I know this is the aliens, this is where y'all get a little curious. For the first time, a few space enthusiasts are bold enough to ask the question, could the structure have extraterrestrial origins? Such theories still rest purely on speculation, but what if is intriguing. The moon has no wind, no rain, no plate tectonics. It's basically a preservative of many features on the surface for billions of years. If some alien civilization ever interacted with our solar system, the far side of the moon would be the best candidate for retaining evidence of it. Astrobiologist at NASA, Dr. Elena Roberts, is cautious and still enticed. Of course, it's extremely improbable that we're looking at something that's extraterrestrial origin. It wouldn't be proper this time to say that it's not. Basically saying 99% chance it's not, but it could be.
I mean,
It's
be
never
alien.
zero.
Yeah.
Yep, it's never zero. So speaking of things that are never zero, are you guys familiar with the 1994 Clementine lunar orbiter?
No.
This is an amazing fucking story. This is again, and the reason we'll relate this all back to the lunar base, by the way, to Project Horizon, because we're going off on some tangents. We're jumping forward in time. By this point, Project Horizon, they've already shut that the fuck down. Ain't no bases on the moon, nothing. So Project Clementine was a joint space project between the Ballistic Missile Defense Organization and NASA, launched January 25th, 1994. Its objective was to test sensors and spacecraft components and long-term exposure to space and make scientific observations about the moon and near-Earth asteroid. Point is, so basically this orbiter went up there, and it took over 2 million photos of the moon. When those photos were released, they were heavily, some of them, not all of them, some of them were heavily censored. For example, let's go ahead and just zoom this in a bit here. This right here is what NASA put out to the public. Notice how there's this big fucking gray censor bar.
What the fuck? Why?
Now, there are several photos like this. The problem with finding photos like this, most of them have actually been scrubbed from NASA's website. If you've got them archived or whatnot, it's great, and you can find the archived ones on the internet. This was the easiest one to find, but there are several others that I looked at, I should have saved. But when you go to NASA's website, and I did this today, December 30th, 2025, day of our Lord. By the way, this is at the Zeeman crater, by the way, for reference purposes. This is the Zeeman crater on the moon. When you go to NASA's website and you just search Zeeman crater, A to Z NASA missions, A to Z of NASA missions, and A to Z topics listing NASA. That's all that comes up. None of these pictures that initially were available years ago when this first happened, 94 through like the early 2000s, none of these pictures are available anymore. In fact, if I go 30 years ago, Clementine changes our view of the moon, none of the photos of the moon itself, save for these ones right here, again, out of 2 million, these are some of the only ones they actually have on the website, show up on NASA's own website. And look at that, we're at the end. We're already at the, check these other articles out. NASA has scrubbed their own photos that they themselves did all the blurring effects on. Now, unedited 1960s version shows this weird structure here. Now, I don't know how real this is. I'm going to be real. I don't know how real that is, but we know for a fact, as we've covered in plenty of other episodes, NASA photoshops photos all the fucking time.
Yeah, with like the Mars stuff, how they turned it red.
That's an excellent example. The Mars stuff. Yep.
I really
Sammy,
wonder
how you
what that
feeling? What you
is.
thinking?
I'm kind of at a loss for words here. It just seems odd that they would censor pictures like
It's
this.
it's such a small thing.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I'm saying. And obviously, like, it would mean nothing to like a layman like me. I wouldn't see a picture like that and go, "Oh," you know what I mean. Actually, by censoring them and dropping the pictures, you're causing more questions than you're trying to avoid.
now for reference purposes, so this is the Zeeman crater. So this is the major crater, right? And you got these little two smaller ones. So for reference purposes,
That slit thing
let's
is
go back to
gone.
this. Zoom out a little bit. So these two craters right here, you see where my mouse is moving? These two craters
Yeah.
are these two craters from this angle to
Okay.
give you guys an idea of the location.
That slit is gone.
Exactly. So a lot of people theorize that the structure that is being censored out may have been some sort of movable craft or something mobile. Now, mind you, this is huge, by the way. This location is about the size of your average city.
Oh, okay.
So whatever they're censoring here is huge. I mean, we're talking couple miles in like diameter or whatever. Just to give a frame of reference. Now, we're about to get to the weirdest part, my favorite part. I want y'all to take a nice, good look at this dude. Anybody know who this is?
No.
Alrighty, well, this is Carl Wolf. Carl Wolf was a contractor for NASA, and he was, was supposedly, allegedly, shown photographs from the original Apollo missions that showed a bunch of structures on the moon, and according to the people he was working with, there was no explanation for what these structures were.
The slit's still there. Actually, sorry.
Are you looking up other photos?
Yeah, I'm doing a comparison side by side, but it looks like it's shifted. You want me to show you?
Yeah. Share your screen if you got any interesting information. By all means, share your screen.
Boop.
We'll go back to Carl Wolf in a moment.
Sorry about that. Don't mean to.
No,
Okay,
that's fine.
so this is the picture, right?
Sorry.
Oh no,
Yep,
you're
this
good.
is the Zeeman crater. Yep.
Hold on. Why is the other side not showing up? Did I not share it right? Hold on, I don't think I shared it right. But if you pull up the other image that you have, this is the slit. It's right there. Because there's the round crater that's outside of the bigger one, and then the two are on the side. I'm looking at a side. I'm looking at a side by side comparison. Shit. How do I share the other side? Share this tab. Okay.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I'll remove on. You can share them both.
Okay, so it's right here. Here's that outer one. Here's the other one with the bigger one above it. If you look, yeah, there they are. It's no longer right here. It's shifted over right here, and it looks like this is more raised. Oh, it didn't. Hold on. It shifted over from here to down here, and this area looks a little bit more raised.
So, well, it's strange. It's weird because I mean, what does any of this mean? Why are the photos changing? Like you are spot on, Cindy. Which brings up this character right here that we're about to refer to. It's our boy Wolf. It's our boy Carl Wolf. Now, because of the photos he was allegedly shown. Now, mind you, by the way, this guy really was a contractor for NASA. Again, this is where the conspiracy is about to come, but the confirmation. Yeah, he was a contractor for NASA. He was allegedly shown these photos of these structures, of all these different, things that were on the moon. And you can actually find archived footage. I didn't bring it up because I don't. I imagine y'all can just take my word for it. If not, it's super easy to Google. But anyway, there's archived footage of him talking at a press conference, how he is going to blow the whistle on the U.S. government and on NASA as to what these structures are and why they're being covered up, as to why all the information about the photos that were taken via the Clementine flyby were removed. Airman who claimed he saw top secret NASA photos of alien structures on the moon dies in bike crash.
Oh, how convenient.
What the fuck?
This is from Fox News, by the way, guys. This is Fox News from 2018.
Holy shit.
Well,
Uh-huh.
there you have it.
So, I mean, let's put our tinfoil hats on, considering the nature of the show. Sounds to me like somebody was silenced.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you could go with a different route. They wanted to protect him from having that much information, so they staged his death.
Oh, you poor naive son of a
Yeah.
bitch.
No, I'm just saying there's a different angle.
That there is a different angle, but why run the risk of leaving him alive and just staging his death when you could just fucking kill him and ensure the information is left alone?
Okay, Cindy, here's the deal. Things like the witness protection program, those exist because eventually people get brave and they write a tell-all book. That's fine if you're an organized crime and you're eventually going to rat out your buddies. You don't rat out the government. They just take care of you. You're
Yes.
gone. They don't give you a post. They don't give you a one-way ticket to Guam and say good luck. They just bury you or screw your bike.
So yeah,
Or
this
screw with your
article,
bike. Cut your brakes.
this article from Fox News says a famous UFO whistleblower who claimed he saw top secret NASA photos showing alien structures on the moon has died in a horrible bike accident. It says a horrible bike accident.
Yeah.
Former U.S. Air Force Sergeant Carl Wolf, by the way, Air Force Sergeant. It's not like this guy was a fucking nobody.
Yeah.
74, was cycling in Lansing, New York when he was hit
It
by a
was
tractor
bicycle.
trailer. What?
It was a bicycle? I was thinking it was going to be like a motorcycle.
No, he was bicycling and he was hit by a tractor trailer. He was rushed to
Oh.
nearby Cayuga, how the fuck you say that, medical center, but died from his injuries. Cops have launched a probe into his death, but no charges have been filed against the driver. Wolf shot to fame in 2001 when he made his startling claims that NASA was covering up evidence of artificial structures on the dark side of the moon. Sergeant Wolf had top secret clearance and worked with the Tactical Air Command at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. Guys, again, this isn't some fucking fringe conspiracy website. This is Fox fucking News reporting this.
And that's some high up clearance, man. Langley, that's a no joke. And also, like, if I'm thinking of what I'm thinking, tractor trailers don't necessarily move that fast, right? Like that's a
Nah, but they heavy as fuck. They could take.
I know they're heavy as
out.
fuck, but
So he gets gifted a bicycle, and then they're like cajole him to go take a ride on it. Let us know what you think, and then they bam.
Yeah. Be on this road between noon and 12:30. Just let us know, like, how you think.
Divine Edwards says, why would they take so long to silence him? Well, I mean, at the end of the day, why did they take so long to silence Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein had been doing his thing for years upon years. I mean, he basically had a walk-in, walk-out deal with the prison when he was initially arrested and put in prison for sexual abuse of minors and was only had a 2-year sentence. Like, if you can still be used, if the information that you're putting out there isn't necessarily dangerous, there's no need to rush to do the silencing. Especially when you look at things like, Richard Doty and whatnot, who is a sanctioned UFO disinformation artist paid by the government to do UFO disinformation at like UFO conventions and whatnot. There's a lot of angles. So what the point I'm getting at is that there's probably some ulterior motives here. Now, how this all goes back to Project Horizon. So we've got these weird structures on the moon that are being hidden. NASA wiping the website clean. We've got our homeboy Wolf here threatening to blow the whistle. We've got the weird interference that was shelved for 50 years with the Apollo 10 and 11 missions. My question to you guys is, Do you think the reason that we never built a base on the moon? Oh, and by the way, let's not forget, we actually agreed with the fucking Soviets of all people in 67 saying, let's not fuck with the moon. Do you think the reason was because of all the explanations they gave, the wartime, the finances, whatnot? Or was it because maybe there's something fucking up there?
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely something up there.
Yeah, that does kind of seem like, especially like when you bring in like the UK and China as well, like people at the time were the only countries who really actually had the capability of
Yeah, so
going like,
Messingo says we don't care about treaties. Sorry, once I say me, correct. We don't care about treaties unless, of course, we really, really need to, such as, hey, we better honor these treaties because there's some motherfuckers up there that got
yeah,
way better
that's
tech
what
than
I'm
us.
saying. Yeah, they could have called it, you know, like don't poke the bear. You know, like we don't know what this is, but like let's all agree that it's in our it's globally in our best interest to not screw around with it. And you know what? You haven't seen, besides those Apollo missions, you haven't seen other people going to the moon or anything else. You have not seen.
Did you do that on purpose?
No, it was just kind of
Accidentally segue into the final portion of the show. So there has been renewed interest in going to the moon out of the fucking blue. It's pretty strange. Here we have list of planned missions to the moon. So let's start with the ones happening in 2026. China. Change 7 to deploy a lunar orbiter, lander, rover, and mini flying probe from China in 2026. In 2026 from NASA, we have a Draper lander. So in the Schrodinger Basin. April 2026, Artemis 2, 4 astronauts will perform a flyby of the moon. We've got 2027, Roscosmos, Luna 26 orbiter, locate and quantify natural lunar resources. 2027, Chandrayaan 4 lunar sample collection and return, ISRO. Let's see, we got more NASA, SpaceX, Roscosmos. Now, so for those of you that the countries involved, not only is the U.S. and Russia interested in basically starting to go back to the moon again after all these years, but China, Japan, and Indonesia are now also all trying to go to the moon. Why, out of all these years, never going back to the moon since 1972, now all of a sudden in 2026 and 2027, not just China, not just America and Russia, but China, Japan, and Indonesia are also all incredibly interested in going to the moon?
I wonder if it has to do with the SpaceX rockets, right? So now they're seeing like more of a way to like there is a possibility to reuse rockets. So it would be more cost effective if we went to the moon now.
Well, you're correct. It would be more cost effective. It is less expensive. That is entirely accurate. But again, the timing to me is strange because what did we spend pretty much all of 2025 dealing with as, in my opinion, a cover up or a distraction?
Palestine.
Well,
Epstein.
no. Well, I mean, those are things are happening as well. But think of all the news coverage we got in 2024 and 2025 of all these whistleblowers and all the talks of UAPs and whatnot. Like, I mean, was that not massive these last couple of years? Talks about UAPs and whistleblowers. You have people going on Joe Rogan and on Fox News. Like, for that to just start back up out of the blue and it be at least performatively taken seriously by both the government and the populace. And now we see all these first world countries doing, proposed lunar landings and whatnot. It's, the timing is suspect, is I guess what I'm getting at.
No, I'll definitely give you that. Especially when you have all these issues that are going on. I feel like in every country, and that they're all of a sudden going, you know what we need to do? Go back to the moon.
Well, Nacho Ninja, China is a third world country cosplaying as a first world country. Yes, but like they want us to believe they're a first world country. I'm using the term pretty loosely. As far as Japan being a small country, being small does not mean you're not first world. Japan still has an insane GDP. They're still a very wealthy country. They're still a global superpower.
I'm looking up the Moon Treaty right now.
Yeah, by all means. And while you're looking at the Moon Treaty, so I guess the question becomes, do we think what do we think is on the moon? Do we think it's extraterrestrial wise? Do you think all this is coincidence and there's nothing to be concerned about? Is this all science fiction? Like basically just wrap up our thoughts, because this has been so much to go over in this episode. But what are we thinking about Project Horizon and how it relates to modern day and all these upcoming launches and stuff like that?
No, hold on, I'm cooking here. What was the name? It was just the Moon Treaty, right?
The Moon Treaty is the colloquial term. There was a much longer name for it, but
The agreement that the government activities states on the moon and other celestial bodies.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, because I'm checking something out here, because maybe they just made that agreement and they ratified, it just got ratified and it was like, okay, well, if one of us can go back to the moon, then fucking all of us are going back to the, you know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, it never, that treaty never stopped us from going to the moon or anything. It only stopped the moon being used for militarization purposes.
Okay. But
so basically, the moon was neutral ground and no weapons, nothing like that. Anyone going to be, even if we're enemies, the moon is neutral ground.
It's already been ratified 5 times. 17 parties as of May 2024. So they've been doing some stuff with this agreement. I'm trying to see if there's anything that's like super. Oh, okay, like a bunch of people. So Armenia just jumped on this in 2018. Let's see if there's like the most recent one. Well, Lebanon 2006. So like it's weird that it started with these and then now a bunch of different countries are jumping on it as well. Saudi Arabia just jumped on it. Oh no, wait, they just withdrew from it in January 5th of 2024. So I don't know. There's something interesting going on here. I think I'm gonna like do some like private research. I want to see how this like evolved, because like it seemed like a kind of a no-brainer, right? But now we have all this new activity and interest.
It's strange, man. Like this one was this wasn't one that anyone posted in the Discord or whatnot. This is one that I ran across by accident doing other shit, prepping for other shows and whatnot, like late last week. And I thought, oh, bro, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
But I'm at a loss. Like, I really don't know what to think with this particular conspiracy theory. I mean, again, I hesitate to even call it a conspiracy theory, because Project Horizon was real. Objectively, Project Horizon was real. They may not have gone through with it because of the cost, the wars, stuff like that, but it was a real proposal. These upcoming launches of the moon are real. Again, Carl Wolf did die very mysteriously. We had these photos were altered by NASA and then completely removed from their website. This is so much to take in. And I mean, I have a feeling we've just scratched the surface of it, and that we're not. I mean, if this is what we were able to just find on the surface web, imagine what we're not being told.
There's some weird addendums on this. Okay. Okay, the first one was like bans any military's celestial bodies, including weapons testing, nuclear weapons in orbit or military bases, the use of military personnel for scientific research for any thing other than peaceful purposes. But then you start looking at other things where it's like, oh, don't take any natural resources. I don't know what natural resources would be on the moon. But then you start bans altering the balance of the celestial bodies that requires states measurement to prevent accidental contamination.
Real quick, you said you don't know what natural resources would be on the moon. I have a semi answer to that. Did you know the far side of the moon, its crust is 30 miles thicker than on the Earth facing side?
It's all ice, right?
I don't think it's ice. I think it's still like metal and glass and stuff like that. But the fact is, the far side of the moon it's got a different genetic makeup. Now, the scientists' hypothesis is because the moon used to be two bodies that orbited really close together and over millions of years coalesced into one.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's just a theory. And as we pointed out on the Moon is Weird episode several weeks ago, go back and watch that, you guys, if you missed it. Like, I don't know. Yeah, the moon is a lot closer to Mars. That's true.
Okay, but I wasn't done. So it was the placement
Yeah.
of
Continue.
the placement of personnel or equipment on or below the surface shall not create the right of ownership. Okay, that makes sense. But let's there's a couple other ones that sound like kind of iffy, but parties shall promptly inform the United Nations and the public for any phenomena which could endanger human life or health, or which could have any indication of extraterrestrial life. And that was like
bullshit.
yeah, I was gonna say that one no one's gonna tell you if that one, but they really are moving forward here. Kind of everything moving forward after like Article 5, where it was just like, hey, if you find anything, you can't put a military base up there just because like you establish something on there. Now they're kind of getting to like zoning rights and going like, hey, just because you put something on there
Right.
doesn't mean you own it. You know, like if something is found up there, you need to share it with everybody else.
Also, real quick, Chrono Capture. When you say what do you mean dark side of the moon rotates? The moon rotates at the exact same speed as the Earth. It's tidally locked, so even though yes, it rotates, we never see the other side. The reason we have the term dark side of the moon or far side of the moon is because from Earth, it's physically impossible to see the other side. It is always locked in the same rotation as us. Sorry, continue, Sammy.
I'm just wondering. So the most recent article is Article 14. I'm wondering if this one's about Elon. State parties shall ensure that non-government entities under their jurisdiction shall engage in activities on the moon only under the authority and continuing supervision of that appropriate state party. So if Elon finds something up there, it's not his.
Yeah.
He's got to report it to the.
Yep. Yeah, I guess it makes sense to amend this treaty as technology gets better and as private industry. I mean, that's not just Elon, because isn't Bezos? Bezos also has his own space program, for example. And I'm sure there's probably private industries in China that do as well, though I'm not entirely sure.
Is he trying to put an Amazon on the moon?
That's actually a bit in Futurama. Amazon on the moon is a thing in Futurama.
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's Mamazon in Futurama because Mom Corp is like Amazon, but yeah, that's a bit in one of the new episodes in one of the new seasons. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess what do we think about this? Where do our thoughts and feelings lie after learning about Project Horizon?
Just when I think about everything, we're boned and they're up to something. I don't know what it is.
I can't argue with that. Like, I don't even have Cindy, what do you think about moon bases? Are they there? Will they ever be there? Are there extraterrestrials keeping us from building moon bases there? What do you think?
I'm kind of interested in the angle that they found something up there and they're kind of concerned about like what could happen. And I don't know, maybe like they lost that information. So now people are like, well, we could still go to the moon. I don't understand why we stopped. And then we
Now, when
find
you say
out.
lost, do you mean lost or lost?
Well, I mean, like they don't talk about it anymore. So people now think it's a good idea to go to the moon. So like, I'm just wondering if something happened. But like what happened back then? I don't know. I do think it's possible that we could there could be stuff up there already as far as like a base like that slit in the moon. I have a lot of interest in it. Is that like a cave in? Is that a building? Like what could it be? Kind of stuff. But overall, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm kind of curious if like how this is going to turn into a psyop later.
Well, I guess, by the way, that we'll go final questions before we start wrapping up the show. What the most impressive thing to me and I'm using the word impressive here in a strange light, is that according to the Army itself in their 1959 documents, which have been declassified, we had the technology to do this project and have it functional by the mid to late 60s. And by the way, when you run this through ChatGPT, I left it up specifically for this, because again, not only did I bring up all those other sources, so I know that, oh, you're using AI, this, that, and the other. I just showed a bunch of verified regular sources as well, so we're not just taking AI's word for it. The AI specifically says Project Horizon was, oh, hold on, is this the right one? Let's see. Yeah, Project Horizon was ultimately killed off for political and logistical reasons, not because it was impossible. The newly formed NASA took over spaceflight authority. The White House didn't want overt military branding in space. Focus shifted to Apollo, which conveniently also proved heavy lift capability. Basically, nothing. And then it caps it off with nothing in the report says the concept was unworkable. So even by the time of declassification, it was still hypothetically, again, 100% within the realm of technological possibility by 1959 through 1966 to 1969 standards. So if we could be doing this shit then, again, there's has to be a reason it didn't happen beyond the political and financial. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be, but it would stand to reason that that's very well it could be.
It's curious that it went to such a grounding halt. Stop talking about it almost entirely, and then now
a grinding halt after, again, the U.S. and the Soviets came to a fucking agreement, even though the Cold War wouldn't end until late 80s.
Yeah, and not
90s,
only that, the
90s?
technology's only gotten better. You would assume anything that we could do in 1959, or even if you want to go to when we actually went to the moon, 1969, to what we can do in 2025, we would be able to, cut those difficulties in half, I would surmise. So it would just be easier and easier to go up the more you do it. The fact that it went to a screeching halt, but they still feel the need to not only maintain this document, but also amend it, ratify it, and bring other people in. What the hell's going on up there?
Exactly.
You would assume.
By the way, those of you guys in the in the comments, like, y'all understand why I'm confused by the end of the Cold War, because Sally Hamster says 92. Some people say 91. Some people say 89. The end of the Cold War is very subjective. Sorry. Anyway, continue, Sammy.
You would assume the only new ratifications you would need is as soon as a country got the capability to go, you would have them join.
Right.
Correct. Not shouldn't put a butterfly farm up there. Don't open your spacesuit up and rub your bellies together. Like they're adding all these weird new rules. Like some of them make sense. Like, hey, if you find something, you should share it with everybody, because that's just going to forward humanity.
Well, you say don't open up your spacesuit and rub your belly and whatnot. Did you know that back in 2012, I believe it was, engineers at NASA were designing suits with the capability to have sex in space, because right now it's impossible to have sex in space because gravity, you don't fucking stay together and shit. As far back as 2012, engineers were trying to design suits to make having sex in space viable, which would imply that because at some point seems like they plan on being up there for a very extended amount of time.
Nice.
So it's right. But I think that, what I think doesn't matter. A boy, Jake Martin, coming in with a 20 banger. Thank you guys so much for a year, Tinfoil of Haters. I love this show to pieces every time. I mostly just shout, have remember factoids and retarded jokes, which we do not tolerate them. We enjoy them. It not only the jokes are funny, and the factoids help further the show. So never fucking change.
Yes.
I appreciate everyone for that too. Nah, dude, we appreciate you. You're an absolute fucking legend. Thank you so much.
There's nothing more cool than being hugged by someone you like. But if someone tries to touch you in a place or in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, you touch them back.
Well, and here's another thing. It's not the only documentation. It's not the only accords, so to speak, about the moon. There's the Artemis Accords. That's a
Interesting.
non-binding.
I didn't see Artemis Accords in my research. What's that?
It's a non-binding series, or it's a series of non-binding multilateral arrangements between the United States government and other world governments that elaborates on the norms expected to be followed in outer space.
When was this written? Because I'm pretty sure Artemis 2 or 3 is what NASA's cooking up next.
Signed 2020, October 13th.
All right. I figured that was recent considering, like I said, I think we're on Artemis 2 or 3.
So we're getting a lot of activity here, right? So far, I'm looking at it. It's about double what the other one had, and it's basically everybody in the modern world. So so they were doing
at least
stuff
Iran
while
now.
we were on lockdown.
Demon Carol for a 5-banger says, in space, reverse cowgirl and doggy style are the same.
That's stupid. You're stupid. Stop being stupid.
No, she's
No,
not
I'm joking.
stupid.
That was great. Thank you. No, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Demon Carol.
Sound of something.
Yeah,
no, I just think it's really interesting. And like I said, they just added people as much as this year. People have been added on it. So like I said, I don't know what we're planning to do, but we're raring to go to do something with the moon.
It certainly seems like it. I think the next few years are going to be incredibly interesting, assuming they let us in the part of the public, us civvies, know what's actually going on. That being said, Nadia's show is in 8 minutes, and we're going to raid right into that. So let's start doing some wrap-up. Cinevere, tell the people who you are, what you do, what you got going on, the whole 9.
Well, hey guys, I'm Cinevere. I have a tummy ache today. I don't know if I'll be playing Soma later, but regardless, I will be streaming at 11:50 p.m. CST. I have a new streaming schedule that starts, part of it starts this week, but I will be streaming on both days for like New Year's Eve and New Year's itself. So come hang out with me and, watch the new year roll in.
You'll love to see it. If any of you guys in the chat for whatever reason aren't sub to Cinevere or sub to her, she's awesome. She's pulling in better numbers than me at this point, so fuck her. Soul Assassin says, has anyone quoted Whalers on the Moon yet? Yes, Jake did earlier, but we were so deep in conversation, I didn't get to sing when whalers on the moon, we carry a harpoon. And I don't remember how it goes after that. But shout out, yes, it has been quoted. But thanks for bringing it up again. Scotty G with a 5-banger says, thanks for the show, everyone. Have a great new year. Thank you. You absolute legend. We appreciate you. But guys, don't go anywhere because we are going to raid into Nadia. We still got to do some outros. This is for you, Scott.
I know now that it could never work between us. Not because you're a rabbit, but because you're black.
Still might be my favorite of all time.
Well, speaking of my favorite, my favorite
Happy
male
New
co-host.
Year's.
Tell the people who you are, what you do, what you got going on, the whole 9.
Oh, and best of news, just read all of these. So all these new countries that jumped on, Somalia was not one of them. So
yes.
I'm Sammy 3-Pete. You can look up my band Staggerly. We're a Detroit-based blues rock band that sometimes plays all around the Metro Detroit area. I know we have an album in the works that should be dropping sometime next year. Been looking forward to it. No more live performances. We've been getting some good money to actually get our asses in the studio. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm basically available at Sammy 3P on all platforms. And I have a new show in the works starting probably in 2 weeks. I'll have a Wednesday show. I'll be doing some deep dives into lore and some just reaction videos. Sometimes reaction videos about lore. I don't know, but it's just going to be my fat ass in front of a camera, and we're going on some explorations.
You'll love to see it. Speaking of explorations, Daxonar is exploring his wallet with a 5-banger. Much love to our damp scrutinizer, our radical 3-Pete and bro, and our lovely Dragon of Fortune. Much love, yo. Much love to you, you beautiful bastard.
Now excuse me while I harass someone for having pronouns in their bio.
Y'all can't tell I'm in a very Sonic the Hedgehog mood tonight. To keep playing all the
Yeah,
fucking
you
Sonic
are.
moves.
And then your shirt
I
on
was gonna
top
say
of
it's
it.
the
Yeah,
shirt.
we're rocking the Sonic shirt, the cream and cheese. Alrighty, crew. As for me, dropped a video today about ongoing censorship in anime, and it is incredibly important. I would love for you guys to check it out if you haven't. And then we got videos and streams every day. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow for the lunch hour, which starts at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Beyond that, man, thank all of you all for showing up. Thank all of you all for an incredibly awesome year of Tinfoil Haters. We will be back next week with the first episode of the new year. Have a few ideas of what it could be on. Might finally get to the Boogosphere. We shall see. And yeah, we're going to be raiding into Nadia. I completely forgot. I have to actually set up the raid. So I'm going to do that real quick. But yeah, guys, Nadia is doing the top horror films. Well, just all horror films of 2025 tier list. And I'll be real with you guys. Not a very good year for horror. I mean, not a good year for movies in general.
No, not a good.
A pretty weak year for horror altogether. What were you saying, Sammy?
Oh no, I was just on Beast Up yesterday for 7 hours, and I think only we covered we rated every major release. And I think one movie made it past a 6.
God,
Oh my gosh.
damn! What a weak year this was. But that being said, it is time to boogie on out of here. So after the credits roll, make sure to get into Nadia's stream. Type in Vital Idol Raid. I will see you guys tomorrow on the channel. Check out the videos, the streams. And until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.